It's not just being a pro player, it's about being on the internet.
What's the worst thing about being a pro player?
It changed a little bit during COVID because of the travel restrictions, but for pretty much all the other years besides 2020 and a bit of 2021, there was just an obscene amount of travel, and it's very difficult. It's a very specific life, and it's hard for a lot of people to do. So you kind of just have to be prepared for it and just take it head on.
I'd probably have to say the esports schedule. There's been multiple times where I don't know where I'm going to be in like 2 weeks just because the schedule's all over the place, and it's a bit fucked. There's been going back like a couple of years when I used to go back to Australia quite a bit to see family. They'd be like, when are you coming back? I can't tell you, don't know. There's a tournament in a couple of weeks, I don't know. Or they'd be asking like, when are you leaving to go back to America or something? And they're just like, yeah, don't know either. It could be in a week, could be in 2 weeks, like the schedule is just it's always been pretty bad in esports, and it could always be a lot better for sure.
Maybe I would have to say it's just a little bit the stress, obviously, from the fans, people commenting on every single social media platform that you have, messaging your family, your friends. So if you're able to, mentally manage that in a way, or just, block off kind of the hate, I think you will be fine. But I'll have to say it's just the pressure and the stress that comes with playing Counter-Strike.
It's not just being a pro player, it's about being on the internet. Is people having such a strong pedestal to voice their opinions with 5 followers on Twitter, and who are like silver 1 at the game, and then plus death threats. Like the amount of death threats my family get when I lose a game is fucking disgusting. When I was playing at an event, I can't remember which one it was. I want to say I was in Germany with Big, so it might have been Cologne. But I had a guy, we lost the game, and he sent me a picture of me outside the hotel saying like, I'm gonna fucking kill you basically. And it was the craziest shit I've ever experienced. Nothing happened because I'm still here. But yeah, just the fucking weirdos that come with esports. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that stuff just shouldn't be anywhere in any sports, but it always will be because people are weird. But yeah, that's probably the worst thing about esports, the crazy fans that say crazy stuff.
Sometimes the schedule is pretty rough, there can be no time to rest at all. There can be tournament after tournament after tournament, which I also, don't mind, but at some times, a player get really burned out. But if there's anything, it's more like, harsh comments or stuff like that, or threatening your family and that kind of rubbish. But there isn't anything like that happens on a daily basis that I hate with this job.
I would say there's 2 things coming to my mind. The one thing is people having a lot of opinions about you and writing a lot of shit. And the second thing is probably just the travel. Obviously I'm not traveling so much right now, but in the past, when we had maybe 35 days away from home, or more just going event to event, was pretty rough, not seeing your family and friends. And yeah, so that's the 2 worst.
The worst thing for me is away from home, for a long time. You feel homesick at some point and miss your family.
The worst thing being pro player, I think, is that you have to sacrifice almost all free time to CS. I mean, if you want to be the best. So if I look back in 2014 and 15, when I was on my, I think, highest peak, I sacrificed almost all time to CS. So basically, I didn't go out on Friday or Saturday or anything. I just kept playing CS. And it's hard to keep friendships with some people when you just don't go and meet them, So that's a very negative thing. So a lot of times you end up with very little friends or no friends at all. So, but that's of course your choice. You want to be the best CS player, then you have to sacrifice a lot of time to it. It's not like 2 hours a day will make you the best, right? So yeah, I think that's the most negative thing on being a pro player. But of course you can manage it good, but you know how people are in the world, so it's not that much up to you as well.
The number one thing for me, and that's also why I think we see so many players burn out, is that if you are a player and you really care a lot about your performance, for me, for example, I put a ton of pressure on myself to perform every single match. The pressure over time just gets to you, and I actually felt way more pressure playing in Lyngby Vikings than I did in Complexity, even though the amount of people watching, the level, everything was completely, at a much lower level, right? So for me, I think the hardest thing about being a pro is that the way Counter-Strike works is that you obviously have all your important matches on HLTV, and they add your stats every match. So if you are in a situation where you have matches every single day of the week, that's every single day of the week where you not only have to just show up to work, but you have to do your absolute best, because maybe someone looks back at this exact match and thinks, this guy wasn't as good as I thought he was. It's immense pressure, and waking up every single day and doing the same thing over and over again and having to do it at your absolute top level to never disappoint, I think that is incredible amounts of pressure, and I would honestly not wish that on anyone except for people who, really like that. I think if you are a pro footballer, for example, you can still play a bad match and people will still talk about it, but with how intricate the HLTV rating system is, there is just no mercy, and I think it's really, really tough. You rarely hear about ratings in football, like no one cares. Either you played a good match or a bad match, but in HLTV, it is statistically set in stone to all eternity, and I think, if you play a lot of HLTV matches, one every single day of the week, which some teams do, the lower tier teams, the amount of pressure is just insane. So I think for me that's the worst.